At this point, I look at the teams and I say, who do I think will win? And then I say, who do I think Jewelz thinks will win? And then I go with that answer.
So, but if you continue to...
Do you like women's sports? Sports across the gender spectrum? How about you're sick of men's sports? Well, that's what we're here to talk about.
On this show, we work to level the sports coverage across the gender spectrum. Welcome to Balanced Sports.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Jewelz.
Let's get into it.
Welcome back to Balanced Sports. I'm Jewelz.
I'm Hunter.
How you doing today?
Thriving.
Good.
What a game yesterday.
What a game. Yeah, we went to the Storm game, back in action at home, and it was exciting.
It was the Tinta Turner game. The Tina game.
It felt like she arrived. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Lineup.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Way ahead of ourselves.
Let's start with the BG check-in. Not a ton of new news, but there was an article that came out last week from the New York Times, which was entitled...
Synopsis, Cliff Notes. Why the Men's National Basketball League ain't shit.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So this is by Tanya Ganguly. It's entitled, NBA Mostly Keeps Low Profile in Public Campaign to Free Brittany Griner. Basically talking about, is the NBA doing enough? At one point, it flatly says no. It's like, but, excuse. The trial is starting soon. And we're trying to keep her in our thoughts and in the conversation. Something in this article that really surprised me was the fact that the NBA owns the majority of the WNBA. I did not know that.
The majority of teams, or majority as a whole?
It just said it just said the NBA, the WNBA. Now I know some teams are not owned at all or partnered with a team like an NBA team. Like Seattle is a great one because we don't have a men's team here. The Atlanta Dream, even though the Hawks are there is no shared ownership or anything like that. I feel like other teams, the Sparks Vegas are different. Like I feel Vegas stands alone. I'm pretty sure the Sparks and the Lakers are the same ownership group, the same colors. That's why I think that, right?
Seems like that.
Branding.
Minnesota, they seem very Timberwolves, Lynxes, same color palettes, the Mayo Clinic of it all. Yeah. I know that they actually share that practice facility because when we looked into that here, it was really, you would think if the Men's National Basketball League is owning and helps operate some of the women, saying, why would you not just promote them more? Or why would you, it's your bags too. Like you're messing with your own bags. Why don't you just
promote and care and, put some money behind this?
Or if you already kind of have these systems in place and all of these things set up, I don't see why it would be that different to just give the exact same of all of it to the W. And it just feels constantly like people are looking at it and being like, we do this for, I'm going to use the Timberwolves again. We do this for the Timberwolves, but the Lynx will get there someday. Just do it. Just
do it. This will open the door to some gripes. We have some frustrations. I think we love the WNBA. We complain about it because we want it to be better. If we didn't care, we wouldn't complain. We care. So we're going to complain about it for a little bit.
I feel as though getting into the media has been really amazing. You get behind the scenes, can see a lot more. And I think I just thought it was going to be further along, and some of these things just don't make sense why they're doing them this way. We know Seattle doesn't play for a couple days. The Commissioner's Cup is happening this week, and we'll get into that. But the travel is something we often talk about with the WNBA, and this team played last night, professional basketball players. They don't play again for now for 3 more days as of today.
Complete days, yes.
In Connecticut. We know that they took a red eye last night. After their game, hours after their game, they went to the airport, took a red eye to New York. I'm not sure if they're staying over in New York to get to Connecticut. This is a small example. They aren't allowed to early board. They're oftentimes in middle seats. I'm a 6'1", average size man, and I'm miserable on red eyes. I get no rest, no sleep. These are professional athletes that just played a game. Their bodies are exhausted.
Bodies, yes.
Larger bodies. That's a small one.
We as the public have an understanding of how professional athletes should be treated. And we see it across other sports, football, men's basketball, baseball. You see how they travel. You see how all of these things. And so to see WNBA players not getting that same thing, it's just like, I don't understand. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense as to why the discrepancy is so large. And people will say, the NBA started that way. Totally. We started that way too. I feel like we should have caught up by now. Like, especially the idea of like, the men went through it for, a really long time before, right? But we're more advanced now. You wouldn't start something and set it back, years. You would start it and set it where it currently is, right?
You would think. You would think.
But it feels like this pay your dues type mentality. And I'm sure that's not the case, but that's how it looks from the outside. And it's very frustrating to watch that happen.
Very much. We were talking last night. The new CBA went into place in 2020, and it will stay through 2027. There was a lot of great things in that.
Maternity leave, like.
I was about to say, I'm going to say great that you would think that maternity leave would have been given for a women's National Basketball League, but they had to fight tooth and nail for that one. And
they should have already had hers.
Oh, when a friend of ours was like, well, they fought really hard so that they could have their right as women, but then they gave up all these other things I was like, that is so stupid. But that just speaks to some of these things. A 6-year CBA is some of these players' entire careers. Absolutely. And I would be a little dejected knowing I'm going from a Stanford, South Carolina, UConn, just think of like the great organizations in college basketball, and you are taking a massive step backwards to become a professional athlete. You aren't having the same travel accommodations. You're given less resources in terms of your rehab ability.
Let me say this. It's probably the first and only time I have flown like the 20 people I was flying with were the only people on this flight. It was a small plane. I was playing Division I field hockey, and that was 2006. We were in like the Elite 8 type vibe. Like, field hockey got better treatment than the WNBA, and that was 2006 when that occurred. And so, yeah, like for a lot of athletes, it is a step down, and that is wild.
Yeah, and there was an interesting thought that someone threw out yesterday that we were just curious, why is the league kind of hush about some of these things? Why don't we just hear more? Or I think specifically maybe in this conversation I was referencing when men get traded in the NBA, we know their contract, we know the whole situation, and WNBA feels a little bit more secretive, like they're trying to hold some of their cards. And someone mentioned the league wants that because they don't. The league talks about we're doing these huge things, we're moving forward, and we're trying to expand. And I think they want some of these like things that should just honestly be better hushed. I don't think they want people knowing like the travel for these players is shit. It is such garbage. Some of their like lifestyle accommodations and the things that they have to go through on a regular basis as a professional athlete is booty stank.
The fact that they don't have the medical staff that a college program has of, hey, you're devoted to this. 2 people, 3 people are devoted to this one team. That is not the case in the WNBA.
Think of their freaking practice facilities. Like the Storm are getting a new one this year.
Mm-hmm.
We found out that they're the first team that's even going to have a whole solo one just for them. But we've now asked multiple people, what is y'all's
game, like a film?
What's your film situation? When you guys watch film, they roll in TVs and sit on floors or sit in fold out chairs. The best athletes in the world are watching their scouting report
crisscross applesauce
on a TV this big on the floor. Mama, you can't. That is ridiculous.
It's unacceptable. And if things need to change, we need to talk about that more because we want them to be doing better. It breaks my heart when I think about the fact that like they chose certain things that should have been a given, like maternity leave, over flights. Like that, those are the things they're juggling. It doesn't make sense that those are the options.
That's exactly right. That they were like, we either can have a child and I guess have the season, or like are uncomfortable for 6 more years every time we travel. Which one would y'all prefer? It is shit that they have to choose those kind of things that you would think would just be commonplace with your bodies as an athlete. Anywho,
moving on.
We wanted
to talk about our superlatives for the BALORTS
The BALORTS coming soon on 8/8, August the 8th.
August 8th is the last day for voting. So make sure every video moving forward will have a link to our superlative voting
extravaganza. Just so you all know, we have best dressed, most likely to be slept on, most likely to break ankles, most expressive basketball face. That one's still being workshopped. We may change that title. The Ride or Die Award, known as the 100 Jewelz Award. Most entertaining, also known as the 100 Jewelz Award. And the Best Friends Award, known as the 100 Jewelz Award. So it's so weird. 4 honorary awards.
Weird.
That we're giving to ourselves. And if y'all don't vote, we will give these awards to ourselves. Because it's our show. All right, we're going to move on and talk about the Commissioner's Cup next because when this is be airing, it's going to be coming out that day. And we have the 2 best teams in the league right now. Chicago will be facing the Las Vegas Aces.
Who do you have?
It's happening in Chicago. I'm going to take Chicago. I do think that there's so much money on the line. There's no way this isn't a great game to me. Okay. I don't think it's going to be one of those games that like the Aces start out 12-0 and Chicago's like, darn, this stinks. Both teams are like, I want cash.
Do we know if Vandersloot is done with concussion protocol? I'm going to say that Vandersloot is still out. And that matters, even though we lost.
And that matters.
That matters. We lost to a Vanderslootless Chicago. I'm going to say Aces, and y'all know it because I'm never not picking the Aces unless they play Seattle.
That's a great selection.
Thank you.
It's going to be really, really exciting game. So much money on the line. Does this count? This game does not count towards seats, does it?
Doesn't, which is another reason I would sit Vandersloot. Like, I'd be like,
oh,
yes,
that's
it's for money.
Great call.
Just get healthy for the playoffs.
Shoot, Jewelz. I have to choose opposite of you. There's barely any time left. I'm going with Chicago.
Speaking of Chicago lost to New York. Do you care?
Nope.
Not at all. Not at all. New York winning feels like too little too late. I don't care. I could give a crap. Now there is a Plinko situation where things happen and somehow they still make the playoffs.
They have a 20% chance according to 538. I'm on it right now. They have a 20% chance to make the playoffs.
Do they have Minnesota? What is Minnesota's chance?
Minnesota has a 9% chance. It's funny though because Minnesota is still ranked as a better overall team according to 538. The Liberty have a better chance statistically to make the playoffs. It's real close between a couple of these teams. Me don't think it's close for the Liberty. I think they sit at home with Indiana.
In Chicago, losing, they're allowed to lose a couple of games every once in a while. They've already clinched playoffs, so I'm not super concerned at all.
They're 21-7. They 7 games. I think they're doing just fine.
They're fine.
You think the other teams are kind of excited right now? A short little mini break right after the All-Star break?
Yeah.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
For some teams, this is longer than their All-Star break was.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's get into this Phoenix-Seattle game.
When you were saying a second ago, the Chicago losing to New York for both teams, it's too little too late. This was the opposite of that for me because it was like we played Chicago right before this and there was so much happening in that game of can we win these and get into the number 1 spot? We got beat by Chicago. And then we got beat by our kryptonite, the Phoenix Mercury, who have kind of dominated us. Not dominated. They've beaten us.
They've beaten us.
When we played them.
Yes.
We needed this game when we got beat, and Phoenix really needed it, and they won. So this was the opposite of that Chicago game. I was like, whoa, this said a lot to me about both teams, and me don't know what that said.
It said a lot. I don't know what it said. Man. First of all, it was such a good game for 3 quarters. The 4th quarter, Phoenix was just like, okay, now I'm going to play. Now I'm going to stop being entertaining for the fans and I'm just going to win this game. I thought initially something was going on because I was tweeting and like it just felt like not a lot of people were tweeting the game. And what people were tweeting was, I can't fucking see this game. Why do I have the league pass if I can't see this game? Like the final game between Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird is something that people wanted to see.
There was so much drama in this game.
The Tina of it all.
The Tina. Yeah, besides the Sue and Diana,
Sure,
that's
Tina
the main
storyline. The B storylines were pretty good too.
Hells yeah. And then both teams are really, like, Phoenix is fighting tooth and nail to get into the playoffs. I was one of those people that tried the League Pass. Trash. They were like, it's on Fox Sports, blacked out in my area. So then don't listen to this if you're gonna turn me in. But then, you know, I go to family members' accounts and that are based in Texas, and I was like, they're not blacked out there. Yeah, they were. Could not watch this game. Threw my hands up in the air. 0
sense why you have a League Pass where every game is supposed to be and then it's not. Make it make sense.
That was very frustrating. That was not a cute look for Seattle. I felt like for a second, could we go up and get that 1 seed? And then we lose to Chicago, lose to Phoenix, and I was like, oh, let's hold on, girls.
It was some good basketball. Again, but the last quarter just got away from us. What does it say about Storm?
That we don't need to play teams with great guards. That's how I feel. Literally, Diana and Skylar Diggins-Smith combined for like 60 points that game. It was something, they went off, and I feel like every time we've played them, that's kind of happened. I don't know if that's just they feel incredibly comfortable with the players that are guarding them. Like, I know I can dominate this matchup, because I don't feel like when we play other teams with really great guards, we're just exposed the way that Phoenix does. I feel like it's just a personnel matchup kind of thing. That's the story I'm telling myself.
It's a good story. You have been saying a couple of times that they're our kryptonite, and I'm just gonna say that, like, it's just a bad matchup. We can't get it done. We have yet to get it done this year against Phoenix, and unfortunately, that's just my answer. They have our number. They know us really, really well, and our tendencies, and poo.
The Phoenix Kryptonites. That's what we will be calling them. Don't want to see them if you're Seattle in the playoff matchups.
You definitely don't want to see them. You really don't.
And there's a very real scenario right now that we're the 3 and they're so close to any of these positions. The playoff matchups are going to be happening so soon. I can't wait to see who's going to go where.
So in a 3-game series, could we beat?
We should have beaten Phoenix in the 3 games
but we
played them.
didn't.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, can we beat them? If you look at these rosters, you would
the
say
way it's set up, yes,
without a doubt. But it's just that, you know, when 2 teams they just really, I don't want to say hate each other. I don't know if these teams hate each other. They're just such tough rivals. But, you know, sometimes it's like, if you're such rivals, you can throw out the stats or what it says on paper because it's just going to be an ugly game. It feels
all
like
heart. It's all,
when we play Phoenix, it's all hot. Basketball's rolled out there. That basketball's a heart. They shoot it hot every time. And Phoenix had more hot. On Sunday, Seattle beat the Dream. They came to town. Ryan Howard shot 30 times, which shocked Tina and Stewie in the postgame. Mm-hmm. Tina was the 4th player in league history to join the 7,000 point club and got a huge standing ovation. The fans Sunday were ridiculous.
They made a difference.
That was incredible.
Yeah, you could really hear them. I think it was definitely the most fans in attendance this year. I think 6th overall for the franchise, like highest fan attendance. But man, they were excited and rooting and just like loud and showed up for the Storm. So that was really cool.
It was awesome. Tina had a great game. She was shooting really well from 3. She got inserted into the starting lineup in that Phoenix game, and she has not come out. Coach kind of told us we may be seeing a lot more of this the rest of the season.
Twitter was not happy that I got a lot of emails as president of the Ezzy Stan Club. A lot of people on Twitter were upset about Ezzy not starting anymore, which of course we understand. However,
Tina hooped.
Do you think we brought Tina Charles here to come off the bench? That is not why we got her. I feel like everyone knew she would eventually end up in the starting lineup.
Do you think people were they just weren't willing to believe it? Is that kind of what you thought?
Because she's doing such a great job in the second unit, which is true, but she's also hooping. So, as we knew she would, because that's what she does. We're going to play a clip here from Tina, and she kind of spoke to people talking about her ring chasing. I felt like that was kind of, reading in between the lines.
Tina, you continue to just mention how much fun you're having, how fun it is to play with this team and the culture here in Seattle. What's really working for you here, and do you feel like you found what you were looking for?
Yeah, definitely. I think for you all, you all are within your jobs because it's just a great working environment. It's a great culture, and that's why you're with, whatever company or whatever, newspaper, whatever it is. For me personally, it was just to be in a great mental space. It was to be able to play with teammates that enjoy each other, and a coaching staff that just wants to make their players better and just challenge them each and every single day. And I think I owe it to myself in my 13-year career to be a recipient of that as I'm getting ready to close out my career. These are the memories that I want to have. It was a tough decision to make. I know there's a lot of things that people want to say about it, but I'm glad I took control of my career and what I felt was best for me and how I can help another organization and players around me get better.
I think it's interesting.
In what way?
It's almost like humanizing herself. Like
that is such a perfect word.
She's like, yeah, I want to be in a great work environment. Don't you? Like at one point she says to media, like, you guys are all here working for companies that, you enjoy and who support you or whatever. And it was just like, yep, there is absolutely nothing wrong with you doing that. Like,
I keep coming back to this thing, like Phoenix did not have to let her go, but they did that too. She did nothing wrong. She was within her right to be like, this isn't working. And again, we do not know how it went behind the scenes. Right. In my mind, she went to them and said, Mama, it's time to go.
When the agent called him, it's like, well.
You don't think Tina went to Vanessa face to face and said, hey, clown? Skylar's words, not mine. How's your day going? Anywho, don't feel like I'm going to play anymore this year. It's just not working out for me. I want to be happy. Vanessa says, huh?
What's that?
Oh, happy, huh? I liked that perspective. I did the same thing last year. I was at a job and said, peace, bitch. And I felt great afterwards. Good for Tina. When she said that, I said, I'm Tina. And then I looked over and you were dressed as Tina. So it was really confusing that day. I didn't know who was giving Tina. We were giving Tina. You're Tina. I'm Tina. We're all Tina.
I Tina. It's like I Tanya.
Like, subscribe, comment if your name's Tina. Definitely knew she was going to be starting. I just want to say that. And there's nothing wrong with loving Ezzy,
nothing wrong with loving Ezzy.
Loving what she's done this season. At one point, last week, years old, she was leading the league in blocks. I'm saying last week because I haven't looked, and I'm imagining with her minutes going down. I've been shocked in the games that Tina has played and started. Ezzy's minutes have dropped significantly, and I don't think I was ready for it to be like an 8 to 10 minute drop in minutes per game.
Dramatic.
What's intriguing to me about this is I think you were getting a good amount from both of them when Ezzy started, when Tina was off the bench, right? Tina's numbers were not even close to what they were in Phoenix, but you were like, okay, well, Ezzy's still getting, she's like our third leading scorer. I feel like she was averaging around 10 or 11, getting really good boards. Tina was getting, I'm going to say anywhere from 8 to like 12, 13 points, good boards too. But Tina in the starting lineup, I feel like she's much more offensive. The downside of that is Ezzy feels so much more quieter and her impact feels less. I almost feel like she's trying to learn what her role is in that second unit. And when we asked Coach why the switch was made, she commented that Tina has more experience through USA Basketball, playing with some of the players in the first unit. You can't tell me that Ezzy also doesn't have more experience playing with that first unit. And I do think that Tina in the second unit really opens up the floor for some of these players in a way that Ezzy's game just hasn't gotten there yet. And I don't think it does the same.
Yeah, that was a weird, we'll play that clip for y'all.
Tina got the start last game. I know you don't usually announce before the game who's starting, but moving forward, is that kind of more matchups, or should we see maybe a mix between her and Ezzy?
Yeah, I think, Tina's acclimated for the most part to what we want to do. We don't have a lot of season left, and the goal is to have her comfortable with players who she's played with before, and Stewie, Sue, and Jewel, and give us some spark to start the game, and just knowing who she is in the world of basketball, to rely on that to carry us. And like that, you bring up Ezzy, I think the other game kind of hurt because of those foul troubles, so we don't really have a good sample size of what that could be, what that could look like in that role for her. And So I'm excited about this game to see the different lineups, the different ways in which we continue to stay away from the lulls in certain units and just kind of get better again on both sides of the ball.
It's a coach's answer. It's a coach's answer. Move things around and say, oh, yeah, here's why. It was like, that don't make no sense. Max playing for Team USA is 3 months. Max, right?
Sure. Yeah. It has to be.
It has to be. As this is her third year with the team. Math isn't mathing of like why that would make as much sense. Like, I don't know. So it is what it is. I do think it's a good decision, but I don't like it. I could also be like, she's doing what's best for the team. But I also want Ezzy playing lots of minutes and developing and still hooping. It's weird it's just kind of an odd statement for Coach Quinn to be able to say Ezzy is making defensive player numbers, most improved numbers. She's sitting on the bench now.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I guess that just speaks to team's greatness, right?
I was going to say all the reasons she gave, she was like, when we brought Tina in, we didn't want to start her. We wanted her to get used to the flow. So it was like, boom, okay, those games she didn't start, that makes a lot of sense. You're not going to bring a player in and immediately she's not going to know your systems and routines. Let her come off the bench. I agree. I think it's a good decision because Tina obviously hooped last night. I mean, we see how great she is. Coach, I thought, said something really interesting. It's nice to have a low post presence. And when she said that, I was like, that's a great point. When Ezzy's in, her greatness is undisputed. Like defensively, but I don't think she draws the attention that Tina does. And Tina is a presence. She's down there banging. She's getting boards. She's drawing out. When she was in those threes, man.
The threes. Oh my God. The threes of. She was pulling it back. She was having fun out there. She also was waiting for a defender. She would shake them and be like, are you going to defend me? She wanted a hand in her face. Yeah, she's dangerous.
She hooped. So I don't think it's necessarily bad decisions that Ezzy's there. It's also like we're 8 games left. So you hope that we can figure it out. Ezzy can get super successful with the second unit because we only got a couple weeks to figure it out before the playoffs.
Yeah.
Someone asked a really good question to Tina yesterday. They said you shot made like 5 threes your first couple seasons. How did you develop that? And I love that she complimented Stewie, Asia Wilson, and Jonquel Jones and was like, you see these players coming up and how they grew the game. And I knew if I want to stick around for a long time, I had to expand my game. I was like, that is pretty badass. That like one of these greats, now one of the top 4 scorers all time, was like, these younger people came in and I saw that their skill set was this and I had to get in the gym and work on that.
Yeah. Cold. You asked a great question to Coach about Stewie being MVP. You just flat out asked.
Is that a great question?
I think so. When you like, sometimes for me being in these media spaces, I'm a very direct person when I ask questions. And a lot of other people don't. It's a lot of other things. So I'm like, where is the question? So it was really nice to hear you ask a very direct question and Coach give a very direct answer.
Hunter? Yeah.
Coach Stu with another amazing night. Is she the MVP of the season?
I think so. It's not just the scoring. You think about what a most valuable player is. You take Stewie off the floor, and we know that we're missing a lot. She's rebounding. She's defensively active and getting steals. She's blocking shots, and she's not one-dimensional. Obviously, you guys know she's an amazing human being. She's a great teammate. She makes everyone else better. She elevates everyone else's game, and to me, that's the definition of the most valuable player.
She's the MVP.
Yes.
I like that she said, besides the statistics, an MVP to me is someone that brings a lot of different intangibles. She was like, Stewie has her imprint on every part of the game for our team. And you see that. I mean, defensively, gosh, there was a play that she's so long. She got into a passing lane, made the steal, and tipped it to, I want to say it was Jewel Lloyd. Yeah, and Jewel Lloyd threw it up to her. She sprinted down, got it on the run, and made this layup. And I was like, MVP. That clip right there should be on that highlight tape. Highlight package for her MVP campaign.
Yeah.
She balled. 23 points Sunday night? Because Tina had 27. Stewie's stat line for last night. She was 5 of 13 from the field, 12 of 13 from free throws, and she had 23 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. I mean,
Y'all know where I'm voting, but I don't know.
You're still sticking with Asia?
I am.
Take her credentials now.
Let's get into our pick'em update and our predictions for the next week of basketball.
I'm sorry, my computer just died.
Weird how that worked out.
Okay, the updated standings. Our standings are now Jewelz at 67 and 34 and me at 63 and 38. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
And then I had to go with Minnesota, and they got beat by Connecticut. And the thing about Minnesota is we all thought they were going to make the playoffs.
I did say that as well. Yeah, we did all. Are you changing your tune?
I am now. I don't see any way. I think that it would be really hard for them to climb back in. There's not enough games left in the season. And there for a minute, I was like, oh, they're getting healthy. I feel like they've been hit by an injury bug again. Well, Mariah Jefferson has kind of been in and out, facing some injuries. Speaking of injury, I want to take a quick minute. Heart goes out seriously to Bria Hartley for the injury she had this week. It's a player I think a lot of people around the WNBA love and want to see do well. And sometimes, you know what, your body just fucking sucks. And she's a great athlete. We hate to see her injury. So thoughts and prayers with Bria Hartley on whatever that is probably going to be announced today or tomorrow. Injury she sustained.
Season-ending injury for her. Yeah. Hope that she can get back to the game. I'm sure it's just devastating for her. Yeah.
All right. So should we pick some games for this week then?
Let's pick some games.
Well, we're going to start off with the Commissioner's Cup. There's a little midweek break this week. The Commissioner's Cup this week are going to do worth 3 points. And I'm only doing that because I'm behind and Rue did it this week. So if Rue can do it, then we can do it. The crossover.
I love your rationale.
It makes sense. You have selected
the Las Vegas Aces.
How dare you?
Don't let me down, girls. Don't let me down.
And I'm going with Chicago because I have to win. You've talked me into Las Vegas is most likely going to win, but I have to blindly stand Chicago and Candace Parker. First game after Commissioner's Cup, we have the Lynx versus the Dream. Lynx.
You're just trying to get.
I am. Next, we have the Storm and the Sun.
Storm.
Next, we've got the Mystics and the Wings.
Mystics.
Then we have the Sparks and the Mercury.
Mercury.
What? We've got the Aces versus the Fever. 1, 2, 3. Aces. We have the Liberty versus the Sky.
Sky.
Some games are easy. Some games are hard. We'll lose both of those. You watch. Then we've got the Storm. We play back-to-back games versus the Mystics. So the first game versus the Mystics. Storm. Mystic. And then you've got the Wings and the Dream.
Wings.
Dream. Whoa. The Sky and the Sun.
Sky.
Next, you've got the Mercury and the Liberty. Mercury. It sounds like we think the Mercury are making a run for the playoffs this week.
It does sound like that.
Next, we have the Aces and Fever.
Aces.
The Storm and the Mystics.
Storm.
I think we're going to win both of those. I just feel it.
I just keep going back and forth. I think the 2 drops that they had before are making me think they're going to drop another.
Finally, we've got the Lynx and the Sparks.
Lynx.
What? We have chosen so many games differently this next week.
Look at you crawling back. I'm skeptical on some of my picks.
Absolutely, but they're such toss-ups. I don't feel confident that if I switched it, I'd feel any better. Truthfully. All right, that's all the games between now and next Tuesday.
Awesome.
Can't wait to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I'm excited. Playoffs are going to be really, really... They're so close.
They're going to be so close.
It's going to be good games. Yeah, I'm excited.
And don't forget before then to go vote for the BALORTS, because everyone knows that as the WNBA season nears its ending, the players are really fighting hard for their BALORT. What if we just act like they knew? Like, Stewie, did you know that you were nominated for a BALORT? And she's like, what's a BALORT? And this is all on video, right? We're like, a BALORT is actually Balanced Sports. And she's like, what's Balanced Sports? We're like, I don't look into the camera and say hello.
For Balanced Sports, I'm Jewelz.
And I'm Hunter.